I want to say this, and I bet all of you do this. You are, as an African, you are overly biased towards your mother than your father. Let me not start another whole chapter here, but I know you all know what I'm trying to say.
It is too much for one person to say and even stand on a very beautiful platform like this and say, I am as a special person alone. We are all special together. We carry the same pain as Africa.
In every book that's written out there, I know people are saying that I'm successful, and I know they're saying that I'm strong, and I know they're saying all this, but I don't feel it.
If you look in this room, it was only a few of us, Mumbi, right? The first time. But you look at this room and you listen to people like Sheila, that's success, right? That's success for someone to say, this is a wonderful conference and this is something that we're doing for you.
We know we need to work together. Now we have a platform, the African Data Foundation, that will allow us build various pillars that we can all work together.
And when people step down on you, you still stand up. It's not how you fall, but how you rise, shake yourself. And just as the waves of the ocean, you jump in and wave them down and they go up. Thank you.
We didn't come to beg. We came with a lot to offer. And we must know our intrinsic value. And we must tell our intrinsic value for other people to understand who we are. We are resilient. African women are extremely hardworking. I have not met a lazy African woman. They carry their families, they carry the load, and they carry much more than the load. I am very proud of this African woman that I am. And we must reject the stories that we are told. We must reject these stories. African women are the most family-oriented and service-oriented people on the planet. Every single African woman I know, 100% of them, has started a non-profit, is running in some sort of non-profit, or is thinking about starting a non-profit. Why is this? Because we know where we come from. We believe in Ubuntu. Once we move and proceed a little, we're like, how can I give back? Yesterday there was a panel on non-profit organization. And I can promise you, as someone who has run a non-profit for 70 years, people walk up to me, African women walk up to me all the time. How can I start my own non-profit? Many of them say, I'm sending money home every month, feeding 3 people, 4 people, sending them to school. Each one of our African women are involved in service, in giving back. Generosity is who we are. Generosity is who we are. We defend our families, we provide for them, we feed them, we invest in them, we carry them. We carry our sons, we carry our children, we carry our men, we carry our sisters, our brothers. That's who we are. African women are spiritual. And that probably is one of the things that makes us the strongest. We're connected to the earth in a way that we've never been. We're connected to God. We believe in prayer. We believe that there is a higher power that is in absolute control. And more than that, we have the spirit of intuition. There are times when my children will come out, and this happened a few weeks ago. And I said to him, you were not in the store. Tell me you went to the store before you came home. And my son was like, he called the younger one, did you tell on me? Did you tell on me? I said, I didn't tell on you. You didn't know that your mother knows. that God speaks to. It is that same spirit of intuition that has helped us be successful. It is that spirit of intuition that I rely on, even as I run my business, even as I connect, even as I hire people. African women have that, and I'm very proud of that. The question then is, how are we going to leverage our strengths to empower ourselves economically and to scale, to tell the world that we have something to share, we know something? And I want to put up a few things. The first of all is we must remember who we are. Like the Lion King, remember who you are. Remember who you are. we must retell these stories. We must retell the story of who we are to ourselves and to our children so that they don't lose these stories. The next thing I'd like to highlight is shared platform, the importance of a shared platform. We have been talking about how to work together. We know we need to work together. Now we have a platform, the African Data Foundation, that will allow us build various pillars that we can all work together. My call to action is everyone should get on the Africa Data Foundation and register. That is going to be a game changer to bring Africans together in a data-oriented, data-driven way that will help us make impact. Finally, let me end by saying an Igbo saying that says, Nwanyi bu ife. Igbo is my traditional language in Nigeria. Nwanyi bu ife has 3 meanings. One is, Nwanyi bu ife, a woman carries treasures. The second one is, a woman is a force and a bearer of light. And thirdly, Nwanyi bu ife means a woman is extremely valuable. So, let me stop and ask you again. Are you an African woman? Thank you.
All right. I'm telling you, this is what people pay top dollar to go and listen to. And here you are, courtesy of EABN, you're getting it for almost free. And in fact, we are feeding you to come and listen to it. Then, if you can't listen too well, we get you drunk so you can really, really open up, loosen up, and hear what an African woman is about. And I think, in a way, all of us. In fact, I want to say this, and I bet all of you do this. You are, as an African, you are overly biased towards your mother than your father. Let me not start another whole chapter here, but I know you all know what I'm trying to say. All right, we do have, and I know we are short of time, and this discussion can never end, but we want to go quickly and just catch up with everybody else, and then because we also have questions, we want to make it an interactive session because we have experiences people want to share and so forth. Elsa, I know Elsa has been everywhere. Maybe some of you don't want to hear her because she's been all around, but we cannot avoid to hear from her because Elsa has been, the chair of this foundation, a businesswoman, a mother, and more recently, a grandmother. A week old. Is it a week? A week. 4 days old. So how amazing, how amazing. How else do you top up the East African Chamber than having a child during the conference? How wonderful that is. Elsa, is there something that you want to share in terms of your experiences, especially as a woman leader, running an organization like the EABN, running a realty company, and we're also talking about the issue of male-dominated industries, whereby even sometimes women doubt themselves. They'd rather go to a man than a fellow woman because of whatever biases that we have. Can you speak a little bit about that?
I love that you said that, right? Because I think a friend of mine told me sometimes women are their own worst enemy, meaning that we don't support each other as we should. And I don't know why that is, because I truly believe, as you were speaking about that African woman, are you an African woman? The thing is that I truly believe that we're all spiritual beings having a human experience, right? And if you look at it from that aspect, you can feel her story, you can feel her story. We all have a story to tell. Everyone goes through experiences, and I think understanding that I'm just like Sheila, right? Sheila and I just really face-to-face just met, but we've talked on the phone, we've texted, understanding that everyone in this room matters. But when you're able to not judge yourself and just say, I'm good enough, a lot of us think that we have, especially coming from an African tradition, do you have a master's? Are you a PhD? Do you have this? I think that we need to think about ourselves from the human aspect and be able to deal with that first. And understanding that for me, Laban, to answer your question, has really helped me, because when I first came to this organization, it was very male-dominated,
Right.
founded by Mr. Benson Kasue, who I have a lot of respect for. But I think also the support for men is extremely important, and I think this is why we have men in this room.
Absolutely.
So with that said, is that I think we have to find a way to communicate better by not saying that because of my experience, I'm better, because we all have experiences, right? But listening to people in this room, people, in this event is extremely important. So it is hard. It's hard to be a new grandmother, and of course my daughter feels like, how could you have a conference on her birthday? October 11th was her birthday. She had a baby on Monday, had a birthday on Wednesday.
And you're here.
And I'm here having a conference. So at the end of the day, I think it's just what matters to you. My kids are older, so I'm really grateful that I had that opportunity to share and be here with you. But at the same time, if they were little, could I do that? There are a lot of young, women who couldn't come today that I spoke with because, they're trying to find babysitters or they don't have a way to get here. But I think it's just having the support system and really being true to yourself is important. I think often women are challenged with being good enough, or comparing yourself to anyone does not help you. It will never help you, right? What helps you is really tuning in with who you are. And I'm not trying to get really spiritual, but all these stories really touch my heart. This is the first time I spoke to this young lady, and she's amazing. I almost come to tears, but I can't cry in front of them, right? But I'm just so proud of you, and I'm so grateful you're here. Mumbi, I don't even know what to say. It's been a while since 2015, but because of you, we're here. So I do it not alone, but with the support system. And again, it's people like you, Laban. I've been around for a minute. I count on you for your humor. I count on Bill Morgan, I yell at them all the time. And I even yell at the founder of this organization as if I'm boss, but I'm really not. So to answer your question, it takes a village.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me just move to, very quickly, Pompey, you had a very amazing story. And I just want to put it in the context of we from this side versus you on the other side. Do you feel that, or even the brief moments you've been here, that you've been able to connect, that are we detached, we people who are in the diaspora, are we detached from your experiences back home, especially the story that you've had and how you've grown and so forth? Or, are we still good? Are we in good books with you, you think? Just briefly.
I will answer to you, but kindly allow me to, in the spirit of being a strong African woman, I want to connect with her and say that being an African woman to me means that I am submissive. I respect men. I respect anyone who's older than me. When I came to this country, I found that there are some shows on TV where men are complaining that American women are not submissive and they are tired. And they are what we call passport bros, leaving this country with their passport, going to marry outside of this economy. And one of the first complaints was that these women are big-headed, they're independent, they have taken feminism out of context and made it become something they can shield themselves from in a very negative way. So African women, we are submissive. And because we are submissive, we listen to the right advice, of course. And now I want to thank Mr. Ochan. Mr. Ochan Ronald is my mentor. He told me this, Pompey, wherever you go, be very grateful for any opportunity you're given to speak to somebody. No one has the obligation to listen to you. And look at all of you listening to me. You're asking me a question that I might have died 20 years with inside my heart and I've never been able to answer, but you're giving me this opportunity. So I want to say in a special way, before I forget this is important. Thank you, you picked up the phone when Aunt Julian, hi, I love you forever. She picked up the phone and she picked up the phone and I was involved, and here I am. In a very short amount of time, you managed to ensure that I become part of this panel. Now this is something I'll take back home to these beautiful, beautiful Ugandan children, that I was accepted. So do you want to know if you're detached from me? You've welcomed me. How can I be detached from that? And you've given me an opportunity to do what exactly I've come to do, which is to tell our story of the African resilience context as a child and carrying voices of many other children in the African soil. So did I find anything about you that is off? Yes, I did. My brother, the artist, where is he? Guma. Just stand up for a bit. I had a discussion with you a few days ago, and you gave me a hard lesson. It seems that when I open my mouth to speak about my story, someone listens and then asks me a question back. But when I shared with him, he said flat out to me, "You're not special. You're not unique. Your pain is not unique. You are an African child, so am I. You've been abandoned, so have I been. You've seen the gun, so have I. You've been rejected, you've slept hungry, so have I. So what do you think makes you special?" Brother, I was hurt. And I thought, crazy. This is how America is going to welcome me. I have a story to tell. So I sat down for a bit. I retreated to my seat in the spirit of submission, in the spirit of listening. When somebody talks, they say you have to close your lips and listen, then get back. So I am now getting back to you right now. And I'm saying thank you for making me understand that we are all carrying a universal burden. We shouldn't have to think we are the special ones and the special stories. Together that makes us special. One at a time, it is too much for one person to say and even stand on a very beautiful platform like this and say, I am as a special person alone. We are all special together. We carry the same pain as Africa. So if I found you detached, if I found that you did something that did not please me, then that's me too. We reflect each other as Africans. So how do you dare ask me to differentiate between you and I when we are talking of the same Ubuntu, the same African nationality, the same feeling we carry? Christ Jesus says that I am the vine and you're the branches. We are spiritualists. And if we are branches of the same vine, how do I then differentiate between you and I? Your mistake is mine and your feet is mine. That's all I would say to that. Thank you.
And it's refreshing to be reassured, because I know many of us, we even avoid answering calls from our sisters and brothers back home because they tell us, you don't understand us, you don't know what we're going through. So that was the basis really of the question, that we, the diaspora, are we so removed and detached from people, like the reality of the ground, people have gone through. And it's true with what your brother was saying in terms of many of us who are especially born in the continent, we can finish each other's sentence. When you start a sentence, the other one can finish because they know exactly what you're talking about. But let me come to Sister Mumbi. As an entrepreneur who has been here in the diaspora, running a tough business in terms of service, providing food and service, do you feel that you've gotten, and I know you're involved with women organizations here in the diaspora, for example, the Kwitu Kenyan women in the US and others, do you feel that the women have been supportive of you? Are they a resource to you? In other words, do they encourage you? Are they a source of energy that you're able to move forward? Are they a hindrance to you? Because sometimes people say, women will gossip, about each other. They will tear you down, as someone said. Has that been your experience in terms of your sisters coming and surrounding you and giving you the support that you need as you run your business?
I'll start by answering your question by telling you one thing that I believe, and I've decided to have it as my mantra, is that I do not expect from others. When I don't expect or set a standard of expectations from others, then I will not get disappointed. The other thing is to, I have approached it in a situation whereby I give what I would want to expect from them. So instead of pointing fingers and saying that my fellow sisters are not supporting me, I reach out even when I think I will be rejected, trying to do the right thing because that's what I want that to be done to me. And in reciprocation, I have gotten support from women, either from Kenya or wherever community it is. And that has been a way that I have survived in this business. And that not only applies to women, it also applies to our African community. They will test you first and see how far you can go, and then leave you alone for a minute and see whether you can survive. And then if you survive, then you will take ownership of saying she's one of us because you survived this long. And that's the same way that that also runs among the women, women ourselves. And we need to step away from using the word that Elsa just said, that it's not something that we need to hold and believe. And I'm glad that you say you don't believe that either, that women tear each other down. Is by passing a message and preaching a message and creating awareness that be the woman that you're gonna fix another woman's crown without letting the whole world know. That way you stand out, and that way you're able to give, even when those that you're giving cannot even give back to you. And with that, you're able to sustain, you're able to keep relationships, you're able to keep the support. Today, I want to say that 100% of my support is among women in this community. I'm saying this because women are the ones who cook when the men decide to call their friends for gatherings. It is them to figure out about the food. So they have taken that and given it to me and told me, well, my husband has a group of men coming in, can you give me food? So that is the support that I've gotten from this particular community, in here and even out of state. Thank you.
As I pass on the baton to Ken, Ken, I want to ask you a question, you answer, then you can ask your questions. As a professional career woman, and especially you mentioned about your experience in cybersecurity, that's something I watch on TV. When I hear about the big companies that you work for, that's something I only imagine when I see tall buildings. So you as a woman, and a career woman and a professional at that, and especially in a career that perhaps is, again, male-dominated in terms of IT and cybersecurity, do you find, what has been your experience in terms of your journey to get there? What obstacles did you overcome? How did you maneuver through to be able to be where you are, the career woman that you are, and still be able to maintain a home, as a spouse, family is talking about still being submissive, to your husband or your partner or whatever the case. I know I threw that question at you right now, but it's because I wanted you to answer it before you go on. And there's no right or wrong answer. I don't know if there is, but yeah.
And like I said earlier, I'm very passionate about sharing my story, how I got to where I am. And that story cannot be complete without attributing a lot of like Dr. Unoma said, we are resilient, we're beautiful, we are strong, we have a shared community, the Ubuntu story, and my story cannot even get started without my mom that is right there, who is my hero, the strongest woman on the surface of the earth.
Wait,
and she is an inspiration. There is nothing. If my mom sets out to do something, she will get it done. She was the best in us. Right from when she started her education, she was that's favorite. She was the best in primary school, secondary school, because that's high school, in college, and she did it while having all of us. So, and she's changed her career. She was a chartered accountant in Nigeria. She's in healthcare right now. She's been everywhere, and so because of her, I always believed in going where it is the hardest. You know, they say that, and I was the rebel in my family because I grew up with men. My brother is right there. Whatever a man could do, I believe that I could do it. So when it came to the career path and the education, I was like, well, men go into technical civil engineering. Why can I not be an engineer? So that's how I started. I was supposed to be a petrochemical engineer, but you know, life took me to computer science, and then I started the harder path. A lot of women in my career, they go through, maybe they become more of software engineers, software developers, but I started by troubleshooting cables, you know, all those ways you can display that right now. That's how I started, troubleshooting cables in land ports, in high heels and skirts, because my mom taught us that you can still be fashionable, and you can be fashionable while you're doing the hard stuff. So she is an African woman, so she says you have to still look good while you're doing whatever you're doing. So anytime I showed up, my challenges, you know, is that one of the greatest challenges I've had, and I still continue to have, is having to prove myself over and over, especially because whenever anywhere I find myself in the room with my professional colleagues, I'm more like the only woman in that room. So it's so challenging that I have to keep proving myself, you know, telling my story, working, doubling up. Every time I have to double up. If a man, because already the narrative is she has family, she's not going to bring her best to the table. So that's what I do every day. I go to bed late at night, I wake up early in the morning. That's what it takes to ensure that I change the narrative for women, that women are not weak, we are strong, we're resilient, and we can get the job done better than men can get it done. So that's been my major challenge. And I want to encourage women as well to, you know, get more involved, and that's why I'm so passionate about this conversation about women getting involved. How many women in the room think that the technology world, the technical, being an engineer is more of a man's forte than a woman's?
Not anymore.
You do? One person. You're not a woman. So that narrative has changed. The technology world, the tech space is so broad. You can find your niche in this sector. I want to encourage every woman. It takes some work. You need to put in the work, but we have all these initiatives now that are encouraging women to be more involved. And if I could find more women in my space that I can work with, that I can have sisterhood with, I would feel way better, because there are problems, there are, you know, family issues that you cannot share with a fellow man. They won't understand it. So at work, I have to be a robot. And then when I get home, I'm like, okay, I can finally let the wig off and be a human being. So if I had more women that were involved, and I had more women that were, you know, were colleagues, I won't feel this way. So that's my.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you.
And that's what I was going to bring it to. You said a career woman. How many women in the room can associate as career women? Career women?
I felt like I've done everything I possibly can to be successful. In every book that's written out there, I know people are saying that I'm successful, and I know they're saying that I'm strong, and I know they're saying all this, but I don't feel it. I did feel it until yesterday. So, and this is why not all of us can be nurses, because some of us are just too emotional. But I wanted to share that in this room right here, we have found something that we cannot ignore when we leave this room. We have found a people that we can identify with. We have found relationships. Never in my career of 20 years have I ever been to a conference that is as giving and has made me want to give as much as this conference here. When I came to this country, the reason I came to this country is because I was a brand ambassador. I did conferences, I was on the panel. That's why I know which questions to ask you people in the panel. I was a keynote speaker, and I want to share with you and I want to tell you that when you find a conference that gives you as much as this and shares, take advantage of it and do not leave it here. I'm going to challenge my friend here, Juliana. But first, if you're Ugandan, put your hand up. And I'm going to challenge all of you people in the Ugandans, that when we leave here, we have found a place where we can actually grow. Let us get outside there and start with just a few of us that are here. There is absolutely no reason why we cannot have a Ugandans in USA Association like Mumbi just mentioned about Kenyans. Why should I have to always go to the Kenyan side to feel like I'm welcome? Why? Do something, because next year when we come for the 19th conference, we better have something to show. I am never going to be part of it. I'm sorry that I took the mic from you, but I wanted to also add on to the thing where you said about Ubuntu. We all feel the Ubuntu. The question is when our Ubuntu is questioned. The challenge of being Ubuntu, yes, we all want to give, and yes, we all feel like we are. And this is what I want to share, that from my experience, it's not enough to just be an African, to be a Ugandan. To be an African means that I can easily cross over to the Kenyan side and share with them. I can share with the Tanzanians, I can share with the Nigerians, I can share with the, because it's still Ubuntu. They don't need to know where Kampala is. They just need to know that I'm African, I'm here, and we're going to start it now. Yes. That is
Amazing. I'm glad I'm your neighbor from Kenya. I can see if Kenyans deny me, I know where I'm going. Let's cross over to Uganda. Go ahead, this is the king.
Thank you for being emotional, for being vulnerable. This is, when I say that I'm in good company, I enjoy being in the company of women that are real and are vulnerable. And this is why, I have a lot of my big sisters here. Lydia is one of them, Connie is one of them, and Elsa, they believe, sometimes, we as women, we have this imposter syndrome. We feel like you said, you're never good enough. You have to keep explaining, and you go into, yesterday I was in the room, I had so many deliverables in my bedroom, and I'm going through some stuff health-wise now that makes me so emotional, and I was just bawling my eyes, and I was just crying. And I was speaking with my twin sister, and she said, it's okay, my twin sister is my uncle, by the way. God sent me a guardian angel from heaven. She is my uncle, and you know her Taiwo. So I had to call her, and she kept telling me, it's okay to cry, but you need to reassure yourself, this is who you are. You reassure yourself, I'm a Christian, reassure yourself that this is who you are in Christ. Christ sees you, has told you this is who you are. You have to tell yourself that, and then you need to take a minute and breathe and say, you are enough, you're worthy. You're not worthy based on your deliverables, based on what you bring to the table. You're worthy because you were born worthy and you have all of these things in you that you can give. So thank you for being emotional, being vulnerable. I enjoy when women are vulnerable. We do not have to ask someone. So in that light, Elsa, I was going to ask you, Michelle Obama and Oprah Winfrey, you said something about, during this conference about the launching the new book by Michelle Obama, saying you can have it all but not all at once, right? Well, which I am very selfish, I want to have it all. I'm always saying, why can I not have it all at once? But I'm getting to that stage where I'm saying, okay, maybe not at once, maybe I have to give. So I was going to go to Elsa, congratulations on being a new grandma. And how during the course of your career and taking on all these high roles, how have you been able to, What have been your challenges on the home front? You know, making sure that the home front is taken care of and you're succeeding at what you're doing. What are your greatest challenges? What's your, first of all your big, what you think is your biggest, failure, and the other one is your biggest challenge?
That's a really tough question for me. You know, when you talk about failure, I guess I don't look at life as failure or success. I look at it as a journey, an experience, and I think everything that happens in our lives is something to learn from, right? And having the courage to do so. I think my experience has been, in the corporate world, it was really difficult because I at one time I was the only woman in my area, but what that did for me was make me stronger to say, you know, going back to I am good enough. You know, I'm able to have a conversation and get the respect that you're giving, you know, the men that give each other. So I think to me, it's not about failure, it's about how perception, right? So am I failing at this? No, I'm not failing at it. If you look in this room, it was only a few of us, Mumbi, right? The first time. But you look at this room and you listen to people like Sheila, that's success, right? That's success for someone to say, this is a wonderful conference and this is something that we're doing for you. One thing I wanted to add to what you're saying, Sheila, one time I was so frustrated because when I came to this organization, again, I love my Kenyan brothers and sisters, don't get me wrong, but it was mostly Kenyan, right? So I went home and I said, this is impossible. I mean, I feel overwhelmed. I feel like I don't belong. But then my sister said, Elsa, you go wherever people accept you. So if they accept you, then you make room. So talking about successes, I think this is a success. Today is a success.
I'm gonna thank you, Elsa, for that. And I mean, we cannot say it enough. We cannot reiterate how, you know, the success is about telling yourself you're good enough as a female, as females as we have. So I'm gonna go next to Dr. Unoma. You know, you have a lot of fans everywhere. I had, when I put up the flyer on my DP on WhatsApp, I don't know if you know David Ono. He used to be my boss in Nigeria, so he gave me my proper first tech job. And I was like, you know Dr. Unoma? She is an amazing lady, and you showed us that tonight. But today, but my question goes back to, I see you said that you are in, you use technology to create innovations in 24 African countries, over 10,000 girls in STEM education. Could you break it down to us how you started, how the journey has been, and what is like the most challenging, what country is the most challenging country, number one in Africa, and to penetrate, and what your success stories are?
Wow, Kenny. That's such a good story. That's a good question. Thank you so much for that. Again, let me say thank you for this platform. Thank you so much for this platform to share my story. I want to say something about what she asked and your question, which is, how do you keep going? How do you not feel like you are succeeding, but in the story in your mind is that you are not succeeding, you are not successful because of so much that comes against us. And I was having a conversation with you, Kenny, 2 nights ago, and we had just had, meet-up dinner. And I was running back to spend time with my boys. And they were like, why don't you stay? And I said, I wish I could. One part of me wants to stay, but I have to remind myself that I'm a good mom. Right? And that's something that I remind myself with the sisterhood, with sisters, that remind me that you're a good mom. I have a good friend here, Obi, who's here as well. And I have sisters that whenever you start to feel like something is off, there is a community around you that remember you're a good mom. It's not about things that turn out. You're a good, great person. You're a great entrepreneur. And you need that around you. So thank God for the blessing of tears. When we cry, after the crying, there's new life that is as if, and so my husband always said, I wish I could cry like you, because after I finish crying, it's like I'm a new person. I arise. And that is a blessing of womanhood. So, In terms of how I started my journey, let me tell the very short version. So, I come from an educational family. My father told me I could be anything I wanted. My mom was the first educated woman in her village. Her mother, my grandmother, rescued 17 people and ran with them through the war. I come from a history of great and amazing women. So, but I'm also Nigerian. And my father had told me that, look, you're not going anywhere until you get your PhD. As you know, most Nigerians, you're either a doctor or you're a PhD, so we're the overeducated crowd. As I was finishing my education, it dawned on me that I had never really thought for myself, who am I? What do I want? I had been given the script. You need to go in, this is your course, this is to get your PhD and all that. And I started to really question what I wanted to do. And I realized that I wanted to empower more African women, especially as I saw technology. My PhD research was around security and data science, and I saw Google growing, I saw Facebook. I thought technology is going to change the world. Where are my African sisters? I am not the best. There are so many more behind us in Africa who, given a little kick of the door, you know the thing about African women, we don't need more. Just open the door, just slide it open. Just give them a peek. And I was like, we can do this. And that's when that non-profit started. And I had got a good advice. It said, everywhere you go, talk about your non-profit. Talk about it. So at baby showers, at weddings, at events, I'd be like, please, can I say for 2 minutes? And then I'll share what I was doing. And the community started growing. The thing I do want to say about non-profit is, you have to have a passion for it. And you must think about how sustainable it will be. Because after a time, you will get founder burnout, which is you've been doing this non-profit. After a while, you are tired. You can't do it alone. You must start to look for strategic partners who will come alongside with you. You must start thinking about data. You must start thinking about funding. And I think that that's one of the things that we need to teach, a master class on running a non-profit for Africa. Because a lot of us are doing it, but we're not really doing it in a sustainable way. And we really need to think about, where is the money coming from? Where is the energy coming from? Who are the target people? Because when we started, my goal was, I'm going to help every African woman. And I went to a course in Google and said, that's too wide. Who exactly is your target audience? How do you define it? And how do you tell your story? We need to get better at telling our story. And so, Pompey, I want to really, really thank you. You have a gift in storytelling. You have a gift in storytelling that is so amazing, because we have to tell our stories and we have to bring that data into it to say, this is how much I'm getting, this is how much I'm giving. And that's kind of how I've grown in the non-profit space.
Wherever you found yourself, you made sure that you told people about who you were, what you were trying to do, and the support kept coming. So we need to speak up, we need to not be afraid of what we want, because the closed mouth don't get fed, right? So we need to believe in what we want to do, and we need to socialize it, and God will send you that angel that will take you there to where you need to be. So thank you so much, Dr. Unoma. I'm going to go to Ms Mumbi. All right, Ms Mumbi, thank you for feeding us the other night. And when I moved to North Dallas, it was African fusion. So I enjoyed that. I was like, this is not a Nigerian restaurant, but you serve the best egusi soup and pounded yam. So my question to you is, you were saying the other night that there were dark times, and you got like angels that nudged you. How did you get past those dark times, like practically? Because I know we talk about abstract, we're talking about, but people need to know step by step how they are able to pull themselves out of those dark, circumstances, situations that they find themselves in. So if you can share a bit of your story of how you got past those times.
Thank you. For every success, there has to be failures. My failures have made me successful today. Africa Fusion today, where I stand, is not my first attempt to the hospitality industry. I took off in 2005, I failed, closed in 2008, tried again, failed again, and tried again, and I'm where I am today. Three things that I've always said is that consistency, persistency has been my greatest weapon. There are days I would open and definitely not a single soul will come and eat. And I'll tell myself, I'm not gonna open tomorrow, and I was done. But I still found myself there doing the same thing. And I realized by being persistent and consistent helped me, because the day that you choose to close is the day that somebody's gonna drive from Grand Prairie or Arlington trying to come and try your food. And if they find you closed, they'll say, oh, that place is never open. So I decided to do whatever it takes to make sure that I open when I'm advertised, I'm open. And whether there's somebody to come and eat or not, I'll consume the food myself and my children, but still make sure that the door is open the next day. That has been the greatest drive and things that have made us successful. The biggest challenge for me, and this is the lack of know-how, and I honestly admit this, not because you may think I know better, but to make sure that no other person or no other woman repeats the same mistakes that I made. I never had access to information or to funding. I did business the old way, clearing my savings account, using that money to do what I needed without taking advantage by leveraging the financial institutions in this country. And by the time I knew that I can use my position as a business with what the business has been able to gain to get funding, to use the business the money from the bank, and not even having to touch my personal money or my personal wages, it was, I'm not saying it was too late, but I probably would have been in a better situation than I am today as Africa Fusion. So getting that kind of information and knowing where to go and get these resources came in too late. But because of that element of being an African woman, being resilient, bold, strong, beautiful, and when people step down on you, you still stand up. It's not how you fall, but how you rise, shake yourself. And just as the waves of the ocean, you jump in and wave their down and they go up. Thank you.
And we will wrap up, and that's going to be for Pompeo. Pompeo, the story is, your story is one of resilience and personal growth. Can you please provide examples of how technology has played a role in helping the kids, that you represent, in helping them to overcome challenges and find inspiration and success in their journey?
Thank you. So that question resonates to me. I am also an ICT teacher, information communication technology. My bachelor's is in what we call information technology. So when you are a bachelor degree owner of such a course, you can go down to high school and teach. You don't have to be a teacher trained in school. So I'm going to do a little bit of exhibition to help with that answer. Sheila, I need you. In the spirit of Uganda to doing things together, Sheila.
I'm not going to cry.
Can you show them exhibit A? That's a shoe, right? It's beautiful, right?
Yes.
And that's made by my kids. I call them my kids. These are kids in my foundation. And they do this with their hands. And these kids are between 11 years to 18 years, both boys and girls. So this is what we call African-inspired fashion. This shoe is beautiful. Somebody has to take it home today. Put that down, Sheila. That is eggplants. Do you know what eggplants is? But this is dried. Now our grandmothers taught us how to preserve food by sun drying. You just Spread them in the sun for 2 days. If the sun is good enough, it will be good. And you store it in the granary. Well, we do not have barns or refrigerators in the villages to keep our food, anything which is technology enabled, but our grandmothers say this can stay safe in the granary for 2 years, and my kids did this. Yesterday, one Derek who spoke about how to open a non-profit organization in this country, I told him I want to move the foundation to America so that it's closer to you, so that even when I go back to Uganda, it's still running here.
So I want to tell us who we are so that when we go out in the world, we can remember who we are. I am an African woman because African women are vibrant and joyful. If you look at that picture over there, only African women wear colors. The world is about to see African fashion hit the world. My good friend said that the fashion headquarters of the world is sitting somewhere in Africa, and I could not agree with him more. Africa fashion started with Africa, and we are a colorful people. There is nowhere else on the globe you see a woman dressed in this sorts of color. This is what makes us African. We are joyful, we're vibrant, we are creative. African women are extremely creative, possibly the most creative people in the world. We love music. Music is in our body, is in our genes, and that's some of the things that make us African. We are majestic, we're queens.
Now, you all know that I don't lie. I already warned you that this is going to be the best session ever, and it has lived to it.